This flame symbolizes not only our past, but the hope for tomorrow. It will keep burning for the next 100 days.
So then what later happened? When were your parents and other of your family members were killed? Because we know that they were saved at first, then what happened later?
First of, we moved from one place to another. Maybe to give a bit of summary, we've moved from that place to one of the church which was close by. It was so hard, it was raining, it was a raining season, so we managed to get there, and then maybe third day, because the same place we've fled to the another Tutsi family, we also attacked there by neighbors throwing stones on the roof. Then we had to move. We're informed that some other Tutsis from neighborhoods had moved, and they were somewhere in one of the church in the parish. So we joined them. It was close the city, and then we stayed there for a month. It was a bit of it was called Kusera, still has that name, and it was an abandoned parish by priest, and then we stayed there for a month. So it was a comfort, because we thought that you're not going to be killed, because when the genocide was happening, people had no idea of what was really going on. They have never thought of being a complete total extermination plan towards them. They were kind of trying to come up together and try to fight, because they thought if they're going to fight, they will maybe resist until things are going to stop. That was at least much of thoughts of people, fighting until things are stopped. But then, fortunately, it was not a plan. The plan was to exterminate them by all the means. And we stayed there for a month. We managed to set up a less effective resistance means, fighting back, because they were still trying us and see if we were able to fight for ourselves. And it took a month until 22nd April 1994, when the former mayor of this city came with some other leaders of militia and many neighborhoods, and every male in my neighborhoods who had joined the attack. So they coordinated an overall attack on that very specific area. They came in, got everyone out of, because the place had also a banana field alongside to it. So people had managed to flee in those banana fields, so they cut all the banana trees down, and taking everyone, gathering everyone in the same place in front of this chapel, and they started beating people up and selecting people that they wanted to kill. So that's the time when I waved lastly to my father and my brothers, because that's where they stayed being killed. So we narrowly escaped that, because women and children were to be taken to another place, another church, which is the central part of the city, and then that's where we stayed for the rest of the time of genocide. And it was not safe at all, because the priest of that very church was an open collaborator to the killers. He would offer some opportunities for the killers to conduct massive rape case, taking girls out of the parish and rape them. But in that very church, there had been also people who were moving in because of avoiding war, because the war was also it had broken out in the city. RPF trying to engage the former Rwandan armed forces in a battle and rescuing people. So we stayed there in the church, but people fleeing because of two different reasons. So we had the families of perpetrators who were committing genocide, them living with us in the church. So sometime we would have then their children, their sons coming in the church, searching whoever was still alive amongst the Tutsi families that they had been killing outside, and finding some alive, and some still alive, and next day they would come and then take them out and kill them. And the father, I mean the priest of the church, as the time went on, had become quite open and very positive to that. Then the church saw it was not safe, because after killing people in the first place, they followed us in the church still the next day, after 23rd, and they selected quite a good number of men that had survived. They read my name and they confused me and my brothers. They thought I was killed while I was still alive, and so I was selected like 5 times within the place to be killed, and each and every time they would either kill someone in front of me or maybe taking people out of the church to be killed. So we lived in this kind of like agony psychologically, but also physically. People were starving. The environment in the church there was was kind of funny and paradoxical, because on the Sunday, there had been cases where the priest would lead the mass, and that mass, you have perpetrators coming out after killing people, coming in the mass ceremony, and they're sitting alongside next to their next victim, the next victim from the next day, and having that that service being led by a priest who was also a perpetrator, wearing a gun on his side and an armor-proof jacket. So that's how the situation was, as it was until 4th of July that then RPF came to have a full control of the city and eventually stopped the killings. Then we started, facing the aftermath of genocide, but noticing later on that most of our family members that were living out of Kigali, because in Rwanda before 1994, 1 person out of 4 were living in the city. The rest were living outside, and those are the ones that were mostly exterminated. So it's when I say about 7, 8, those are the people that were living not within, So most of them were basically murdered. And after genocide, we went to collect bodies of them. We could recognize some of them because of their featuring, either long teeth or something. And some of them had been murdered in their family ground, and they would let their bodies there.
Post-genocide, we are here 30 years down the line. As a survivor, as someone who witnessed what was happening, what's on your mind? I know forgiveness has been talked about. Even the president has spoken so much about forgiveness. But you are here, you experienced the genocide. You survived 5 times, 30 years down the line. What can you tell us?
Surviving has been so far a very tough journey, but worth living, because you don't live for your own, you live for those who have gone, but also you live for the future. You live for the future of your country, and for your family. I'm a father, I have 2 kids, so of course you keep on thinking about the future of this country, where we be and where we not be. So that's where comes the idea of what's the essence of forgiveness. Because when you forgive, you don't necessarily forgive those who have killed your family. You do that, but you also we try to embrace the forgiveness as part of lifestyle, as a part of essential step in a life that can enable you to save the life of the future Rwanda. You have obligation of stopping this cycle of violence. But again, it is not an easy duty. We are very thankful for the government to first stop the massacre, ending a genocide, but also creating a very conducive environment of a good future of our family, our kids. Particularly myself, I was not long time ago, I was able to account one of the killer of my family. It was a bit of shock, but I loved the fact that I faced myself by meeting with him and hearing him talking about the people killed. It was not in a, it was in a kind of like a coincidence, a very particular situation. I was there to interpret what was telling one of the researchers, and they named people killed, including my family. But I knew him, but I didn't know much about what he did. So I love the fact that I entered also in the process to other, like any other survivor, to directly account to face myself. So when you face people, you don't face like individuals, but you face your history. You said you're from South Africa. I would say that you hear much what I'm talking about. That like when you face people, it's not people you face your history, right? So it's sometimes really very hard, but it's worth it. And government, the president, particularly himself, being a visionary and acting beyond what could have been accounted as a common feeling and justified feelings for anyone, because he also lost part of his family members by the time. But being a visionary and think of the future rather than dwelling in the past has been a saving factor to this country and to ourselves as a genocide survivors. Because without him, we don't think that we could have thought about not committing a revenge. But we are thankful that we are not dragged into that, and that ensures the future of this country.
Lastly, you met the killer of your family. What came into your mind then when you came face to face with him?
Yeah, I didn't notice that he was lying a bit. He was not lying about what he did, but he was simply lying about the motive behind. Because he was simply saying that he was forced into the killings. And among the things he said that he was involved in the killings because he wanted to save his family, because partly his mother was a Tutsi, and they had hidden some of the Tutsi, so he wanted to show solidarity to those who have unloaded him into the killings, to never being suspicious for what they had. But you don't kill children, you don't shoot at innocent people, you don't shoot at elderly just because you want to save other lives. But I understand on some other extent, because that's all what he can say. But the fact that he has accepted to testify, to reveal the truth of what really happened, but many factors, he contributed a lot in revealing where people had been thrown after being killed, which helped most of the survivors in the healing process, because you do the mourning ceremony, which helps you psychologically in terms of healing. Yeah, so it was a big mixture of feelings, but in the end, it went out well, because we even took a picture together afterwards, and I felt like I didn't want him to tell me more about a very specific about whether if he knew my father or if he saw him and then the last breath, kind of things. But I think I'm strong enough to face those realities, because that will be part of my account to my family, my children. Yeah.
Have you forgiven him?
I did. Forgiveness is a journey, and it's a long journey. I will never say that I've reached to good stand of saying that I fully, maybe I would avoid, maybe I may not share a drink with him, but I can salute him. I may never go to his party, but I can pick his calls if he does. So those are kind of, when you talk about forgiveness, it's not an act in itself. It's a journey, steps. But I'm in a good stage to forgive. I've eaten the process, and I think I'm in a good stage of doing it.